Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first 2021 NASCAR predictions video. In today's video, I'm going to go through my in-depth analysis, race by race by race throughout the regular season, into the playoffs, and eventually my prediction on who I think will win this season's championship. Now, before we get started into this one, we will be doing predictions on the weekly once again, a fantasy live version of it, almost kind of like a podcast version of how I'm going to do it this year. But for this video, it's going to be a little bit longer, and like I said, I'm going race by race. Now, these predictions will change week to week, but we'll always go back to see who I predicted at the beginning of the year. And these predictions last season in 2020, this was one of the first videos I did for the channel, where I went through race by race by race, and then before that, though, I did a full season predictions video. We predicted 5 races correct of the 36 for the regular season before the season actually started. So hopefully this year, then, the goal would be to go 6 and beyond, obviously. And every year, we'll see how many years in a row we can go beating that. So hopefully we can predict at least 6 of these races correct throughout the course of the season. I will also make my playoff predictions. The 16 drivers I think will make it there, and then we'll go round by round who I think will be eliminated. We go very in-depth with this, and this is kind of the start. And you guys will see on the bottom right corner of the screen, hopefully, the images, and it'll... So that way I'm not just rambling through the whole thing. You guys will actually physically be able to see it. I pretty much just kind of put it on a spreadsheet. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do this because this is going to be a little bit longer of a video. It might be somewhat similar to how the predictions videos are going to go. It'll probably be a little bit different, again, because we're only going to focus on one race, at a time on the weekend. And we'll start that off with the Busch Clash. That will actually be, by the time this uploads the next day, this should upload by Monday night at the latest. So once we get the starting lineup for the Busch Clash, we'll have the Busch Clash video tomorrow before the race, and so on every week. Also, I want to add, there will be a Fantasy Live League this year, and you guys get to voice your opinion on the following week's videos, depending on how you do there. So what the rules will apply in, anybody can join into the Fantasy League this year. I highly recommend you do it, and you say forget your lineup one week, one way or another. By the way, the rules will be on there. But anyway, if you forget your lineup one week, and you pretty much aren't going to win the season championship. But I will be doing weekly prizes, and those weekly prizes are going to be, if you win that week in the league, then you get the opportunity to come on the channel and voice your predictions for the next week. It'll be a little segment. It's not like you're going to be on the whole show, but it's something I want to give back to you guys as the fans and subscribers of the channel. So pretty much the only thing you have to do is subscribe to the channel and win that League of the Week. If you end up doing both of those things for that week, you can join on. There is no limit. If you win 3 weeks throughout the course of the season, then you'll be on for 3 weeks throughout the course of the season. So there's no restrictions, as if you win already, I want to get somebody new on here. You earned your way to do it, so that will be the competition, I guess, throughout the course of the year. And you guys get to match your predictions and your fantasy advice versus mine. It's going to be tough to beat because I did really good last year in the NASCAR Weekly Fantasy or NASCAR Weekly Podcast League. I actually finished, I think, 3rd overall, and I was in the running all the way to the end. And there were 100 people in that one. I know my stuff. I know my in-depth analysis of this. I've been watching NASCAR my whole life. So we're going to go race by race by race. This is going to be regular season first, and then we'll go into the playoffs. So starting off, as you guys will see again on the spreadsheet in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, Daytona 500 prediction. Now, this will change after the duels and everything else happens this week in practice and when I actually get to see who is fast on the racetrack. But as far as the preseason predictions go, I got Ricky Stenhouse Jr. winning. Obviously, his only 2 career wins in the Cup Series have come on super speedways. Maybe he can do something. He was really fast last year. Was running up towards the front when he got involved in one of those big accidents throughout the course of the race. Well, mainly the end of the race, he led some laps. He actually scored stage points pretty heavily in both stages in the race. He qualified on the pole. I expect the Chevys to qualify really good again this year, so he'll probably be starting towards the front. They usually qualify well, and Ricky Stenhouse at the front, he's going to try to hold on to that track position throughout. So I'm going to go Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to win the 2021 Daytona 500. If he actually wins this thing next week, you guys can go back and say, man, that dude called it. Again, my prediction will probably change through speed weeks depending on how he does, but right now, he's the pick. Daytona road course next week, I got Chase Elliott. He's good on the road courses, you guys know that. I don't want to waste in-depth analysis with every single race because otherwise this video is going to be over 30 minutes. I don't want that. Denny Hamlin, I have him winning at Homestead. At Las Vegas, I have Kevin Harvick winning his first race of the season. I have Chase Elliott being the first driver to win his second race of the year at Phoenix, the same place he won the championship last year. He had the most dominant car for the second half of the race, and with that being the end of last season and no practice or qualifying for this year, that's why I feel like Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, and Harvick are going to be the three guys to win the most races this season. I think it's going to be a lot of the same that what you saw last year because there isn't going to be any qualifying or practice for most of the season. There's only 8 races there will be qualifying or practice, so in those races it might change a little bit. I think you'll see a better chance at other guys to get better throughout the course of that week leading into that week, and then maybe momentum could shift from there. But up until then, outside of the Daytona 500, which it's Daytona anyway, and Dirt Bristol, the first over third of the season, there's no practice or qualifying. So we got Chase Elliott winning once again at Phoenix. Kevin Harvick is kind of the king at Atlanta, especially through the 2010s and into the early 2020s. He won there last year too. And it's a mile and a half with this package, the 550 package that Hamlin and Harvick won at the most last year. I think those two are going to win a lot of those races again this year. There's less of them, so I think they will each have less wins by the end of the year, but I think they're going to have some of the most throughout the course of the year. So I got Harvick winning his second race at Atlanta. Dirt Bristol, I got Kyle Larson winning. Really, it's just Larson or Bell. And I think Larson's going to make the playoffs, but as you see by the end of my regular season predictions, you're going to know that a win is probably going to have to get you in the playoffs because I have about 13 or 14 different winners. There's not going to be too many guys I think that will point their way in to the playoffs due to the fact that I think the field is a lot more competitive from top to bottom this year, or at least from top to about like 20th this year compared to what it was in the last couple seasons. So I got Larson winning Dirt Bristol. I got Martin Truex Jr. winning his first race of the year at Martinsville. A lot of people think that Martin Truex Jr. is going to take a huge step back this year, and you're not going to see him win, a ton of races anymore throughout the course of the season. Although I think that's the case, I still see him clicking away 3 to 4 wins this year. It was his first year with a new crew chief last year, and a year where there was no practice or qualifying. There is some practice and qualifying throughout the course of the year. They have a year of chemistry with each other, and they really started clicking away at the end of the season. Martin Truex Jr. went on that hot streak where he had 6 top threes in a row or 7 top threes in a row at the end of the regular season into the early going of the playoffs until Darlington. And even after that Darlington race that he almost won, he was still clicking away top threes. So Martin Truex Jr. I think is going to be pretty fast, especially out of the gate. So I see him getting an early season win at Martinsville. Brad Keselowski, he was a king on the 750 tracks this year, and he was dominant, especially in the second 2 stages of the Richmond race. I'll have him winning at Richmond. By the way, early season stretch, I think that's one of my favorite parts of the schedule as you go Dirt Bristol. I grew up with dirt track racing, so, that's going to hold sentimental. Plus, it's a short track. Bristol's my favorite track. I know it's not going to be the same Bristol, so I'm a little upset about that. I wish I would have gone to another dirt race, but that's another, thing for another time. Maybe we'll hit on that when Dirt Bristol comes around. But then we got Martinsville and Richmond, so you got 3 short tracks in a row, and then after that, you go to Talladega, which I had a blast, and I'll be there again this year for the spring race at least. So my Talladega prediction, I've got Joey Logano. Fun fact, this is the only race I have Joey Logano winning this year. I think he'll be the third of the 3 Penske drivers this season. I think he'll contend for wins. He'll be an easy lock into the playoffs, even if he didn't get this win at Talladega. He looked really good there in both races last year, especially the second race. He led the second most laps behind the guy that won the race, Denny Hamlin. So I've got Joey Logano winning at Talladega as well. Again, Keselowski at Richmond and Logano at Talladega, 2 straight wins for Penske. Another Hendrick Chevrolet will find his first victory of the season. I got Alex Bowman in the 48 winning at Kansas. He's been really close there the last couple of years. He finished within a second of the race lead in the fall. He finished 3rd. And he almost won this race 2 years ago in the spring as well. So he's been close to winning at this racetrack. I think he's a little bit better speed-wise in the spring the last couple years, or at least last year was in the summer. But you get the point. The first Kansas race under the lights, and I think Alex Bowman's going to get that first win at Kansas. He's been really good on the intermediate tracks the last couple years. That's where his only 2 career wins have come as well. One on another mile and a half like Chicagoland. And honestly, Chicagoland and Kansas pretty similar to each other. Probably the 2... tracks with this package that probably run similar to each other. Of course, Chicagoland not on the schedule anymore, but I got Alex Bowman winning at Kansas. At Darlington, I've got Denny Hamlin getting his second win of the year. He won one of the two Darlington races when they came back from COVID last year, and he's just really good at Darlington. He's won there 5 times in his career, so I have Hamlin winning his second race there. We go to Dover after that, Martin Truex Jr.'s home track, the place where he got his first career win. I think he's going to get his second win of the season at Dover. He finished really, really good there. Both races of the doubleheader they had last season at Dover, he finished in the top 3. That was part of that top 3 stretch he had going on. So he's very fast, very close to winning both of those races. I think he pulls off a victory at the one lone Dover race this season. When we go to Circuit of the Americas, I think Chase Elliott's going to get his 3rd win of the year. It's another road course, especially with it being new to the schedule. That's where the road course talent is going to come into place. When you go to these newer road courses, I feel like Daytona road course like last season and Circuit of the Americas again this year, that is where the road course prowess is going to come into play more so than experience in NASCAR in general. So I feel like Chase Elliott's going to get the win there. Coke 600, I got Kyle Busch going to victory lane for the first time of the year. I think Kyle Busch is going to have a better season than what he had last year. I think it was just rare to see him win one race. I know he's with a new crew chief this season, so that might start some slow stuff out of the gate. I think you're going to see more of Kyle Busch the way he was last year. As we get into the thick of the season, especially the middle part of the year when we go to those new tracks, you're going to see a lot more practice and qualifying. I think they're going to gel well together. And he's won the Coke 600 multiple times in recent years. I think Kyle Busch goes to victory lane in the Coke 600. At Sonoma, that's Martin Truex Jr.'s playground. I think that'll continue. He'll get his 3rd straight win there and his 4th career win at Sonoma. And I believe that would be the most wins at Sonoma of any driver in NASCAR history. So he could become a track leader as far as wins go if he gets it done. And Chase Elliott hasn't really been that great at Sonoma. I think he'll run top 10 because he's great on the road courses. He's shown that over the last couple of years. But I think Martin Truex Jr. wins at Sonoma. Nashville, Kyle Busch ran really well there, dominated there in the Xfinity Series known as Nationwide Series at the last time they were there. There's also going to be practice and qualifying into that, and you know Kyle Busch is great when that stuff is around, so I think Kyle Busch is going to win at Nashville, their first race in the Cup Series in NASCAR history. The Pocono doubleheader, the only doubleheader scheduled for 2021. I've got the same guy that has won there last year and is the most winningest driver at that racetrack, or at least I think tied for it. You'd have to fact check me on that one, but I know he's won there a lot. I got Denny Hamlin winning race 1 and race 2, even though there's no practice or qualifying. Again, I think Kyle Busch really hits that hot streak, like I mentioned, in the early summer months. I got Kyle Busch winning his 3rd race of the season. So after that, we go to Road America. Interesting thing about Road America, it hasn't been on the schedule since the 1950s, but the Xfinity Series has been racing there for the last 5 to 10 years. I think that's going to play into effect. I have 2 predictions for this race. One, if Austin Cindric is in this race, this is the race I think Austin Cindric will win this year, riding that part-time schedule in Penske equipment. He's going to have, it's basically going to be a 4th Penske-backed car. He'll have to race his way in, or not race his way in, but qualify his way in. But we know he's good on the short track, he's good on the road courses. And obviously that's going to come into effect here, and Penske's got great equipment. They're usually pretty good on the road courses for the most part as an overall team. Probably the best as far as overall team, maybe Hendricks right there, because Byron and Bowman have been, running well on the road courses. Obviously Chase Elliott too. But anyway, I got Austin Cindric winning that race. Though if he is not on the entry list, I have Matt DiBenedetto winning his first career race. This is the only race I think Matt DiBenedetto will win going into the season if Austin Cindric is not in the race. The reason why I have Matt DiBenedetto, he actually ran this race 2 years ago in the Xfinity Series for Joe Gibbs Racing. And he was running second. He was leading laps throughout the course of the race. He was one of the top 3 drivers. Was in second on the last lap, last corner, where he just lost control of his race car. He ended up finishing, I believe, 4th still, if I'm not mistaken. But he was in contention to win that, and he's one of the few Cup guys now that have actually raced at Road America since it came back to the Xfinity Series schedule. So that being a recent memory, and DiBenedetto was really good on road courses. I know he didn't perform well in the 2 road courses last season with his first year with the Wood Brothers, but he is really good on the road courses. He showed that in the Levian family racing equipment. So I think Matt DiBenedetto gets his first career win at Road America if Austin Cindric isn't in the race. Now we get to the end of the regular season here. I'm going to give you guys my regular season championship, the 16 drivers that make the playoffs, as well as the winner in those final 6 races of the regular season. We go back to Atlanta for the second time. This one's going to be a 400-mile race instead of 500, but I think the same guy's going to win it. 550 package, King at Atlanta. I think Kevin Harvick pulls off the Atlanta sweep this year. First time that the Cup Series has been at Atlanta twice in a season in almost a decade, if not more. Again, I'd have to fact check on that because I didn't do a ton of research on track history so much going into this outside of recent track history. And obviously Atlanta's only been having 1 race a year at the beginning of the year, which will have 1 at the beginning of the year. And then this is going to be a very, very hot. Atlanta is going to be hotter than ever at this race. It's going to be late to middle summer. It's in July. So middle of the summer. It's actually in the daytime and not the nighttime. So it is going to be slick. It's bumpy. That's going to be a fun race to watch. It's going to be a little bit shorter, too, so it'll probably fly by. But I have Kevin Harvick winning at Atlanta once again. That would be his 3rd win of the season. I got Denny Hamlin winning at New Hampshire. That's probably one of his better racetracks, I think, outside of Pocono and then, say, those other short tracks like Richmond and Martinsville, where he's kind of good. But he's kind of slumped at Martinsville recently. But anyway, I have him winning at New Hampshire. He's been close to winning that race. If not, has won that race over the last 5 years a couple times. And I think Denny Hamlin's going to contend and will win at New Hampshire this year. That will be his 4th win of the season. I think another guy gets his 4th win of the year the following week. I got Chase Elliott winning at Watkins Glen. He has won the last 2 races there. They didn't race there last year because of COVID, but he still won both road courses. Again, Chase Elliott road course, Watkins Glen, where he got his first career win. I got Chase Elliott winning his 4th race of the season. Brickyard 400 is going to be run on the road course this year. Back-to-back road courses on the schedule. Those summer months is really where you're going to see a lot of road courses. You only have, you got the Daytona road course, I guess, with the 2nd race of the season. But outside of that, you don't go to another road course until May, middle of May when they go to COTA. Actually, let me look back at that real quick. They go to COTA the week before the Coke 6. Yeah, so middle of May. So over a third of the way through the season before the 2nd road course. But then you have 4 road courses on the stretch of about a month and a half to 2 months. And you got back-to-back of a schedule right here with Watkins Glen, the Brickyard 400. So I think Chase Elliott will be one of the front runners, but this is not going to be one of those road course races he wins, much like Road America and Sonoma. I think Chase Elliott will win at least 2 to 3 races on the road courses, but for people that are saying he's going to win all 7 of them or win, 3 or more, and it's a lock for him to do that, I wouldn't say so, because as we go later and later into the season, especially, and more road courses are coming, I think that's where you're going to see other drivers get better at it, especially throughout the course of the season. We get more practice, we get more qualifying through these other races, the newer races, and this is one of those tracks that will have practice and qualifying, at least for the Cup Series, because it's run on the Indy road course. They have not ran there before. Here's a guy that did have some sort of practice. This was the only race for the Xfinity Series that actually had practice last season after COVID. It was the Indy road course. He won this race. He is a rookie driving the 14 after Clint Bowyer retired last season. I got Chase Briscoe winning his first career race in his rookie season, solidifying himself in the playoffs by winning the Brickyard 400. I think he will be on the bubble going into this race because this is the 3rd to last race of the regular season. I think he's going to pull off his first career win and winning the first ever inaugural road course race at Indy for NASCAR in the Xfinity Series and now the Cup Series this year. It's somewhat of a bold prediction whenever you go out on the limb and say, hey, I think that a rookie especially is going to win his first career race here. So even though he's got good track history there in obviously a very short amount of time, because there isn't much track history on the road course at Indy, I've got Chase Briscoe winning there. We go back to Michigan. That's another one of Kevin Harvick's playgrounds. He's won there the last 3 races. He swept the doubleheader last year in August. And this is the only race at Michigan this season. He has been better in the August race than the June races at Michigan. I would know. It's my home track. I've been there since every race since 2018 outside of last year because obviously because of COVID, and I went there once before. But anyway, Kevin Harvick's really good at Michigan. 550 package again. I think Kevin Harvick is going to win that race. After that, we go to the regular season finale at Daytona. We know Denny Hamlin is great at the super speedways. I see Denny Hamlin winning at Daytona this year, but not the 500. It's so hard to win there 3 years in a row for the 500. I don't think he'll get his 4th 500 this year, but I think he will win there to end the regular season. He'll make that points battle very, very close with winning this race as far as the regular season championship is concerned. But with the road courses, although I don't think Chase Elliott's going to win 6 or 7 of them, I do think he's going to very well score a lot of stage points and finish in the top 10 in every one of them. Hamlin's shown great on the road courses the last couple of years too, but obviously he's no Chase Elliott when it comes to that. So I think Chase Elliott wins the regular season championship, but Denny Hamlin wins the regular season finale. That's Hamlin's 5th win of the season. And now we get into the big stuff. So now we get into my predictions for the playoffs. I'll go the guys that I had on wins as well as the drivers who I have as far as making the playoffs on points, because again, it gets a little tricky because I have DiBenedetto winning at Road America if Austin Cindric isn't there, so I have the replacement plan. If Cindric races, then I have another guy for points, so on and so forth. So regular season champ, obviously, with how many wins do we have? 4, yeah. So with 4 wins on the season, I think Chase Elliott wins the regular season championship, as well, scoring a ton of playoff points, putting himself as one of the closer, at least, locks for the championship 4. I have Denny Hamlin finishing 2nd in the regular season championship standings as well. Now, in no particular order, I have the rest of the guys on wins and points. Hamlin, I have him scoring 5 wins in the regular season, at least. Again, Elliott 4. I have Kevin Harvick winning 4 races in the regular season. That's his way to the playoffs. I have Martin Truex Jr. winning 2 races in the regular season. Kyle Busch winning 3 races in the regular season. Both those guys in on wins for the playoffs. I have Penske kind of taking a step back from last year. I think they overachieved what they probably were expected to go into the season, and I think other teams are going to start to catch up to them, because as a whole, they were the best team last year. I think Hendrick's going to close in. I'm hopping on that Hendrick bandwagon, even though I'm a Ford guy. I don't care too much about manufacturers. But anyway, I have Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski each only getting 1 win for the regular season. Again, regular season. But I have them only getting 1 win there, so not a lot of playoff points. That could hurt going into the postseason. I have Alex Bowman winning 1 race for the regular season at least, but he runs really, really well, and he finishes in the top half of the 16-driver field by the time the playoffs start, which is a step up from last year, because remember, last year he was around 11th to 12th to 13th in points for a lot of the regular season when they came back from COVID, at least a couple weeks after they came back from COVID. So I have Bowman only getting 1 win, but running way more consistently in the regular season than what he did last year. I have Kyle Larson with that Dirt Bristol win. That's his ticket to the playoffs. I think he'll be probably a top 10 points runner. I think he'll be in that 10th to 12th range in the regular season throughout the course of the year anyway, but that win locks him in. With Chase Briscoe getting his first career win, I have him making for the playoffs. I have Penske kind of taking a step back from last year. I think they overachieved what they probably were expected to go into the season, and I think other teams are going to start to catch up to them, because as a whole, they were the best team last year. I think Hendrick's going to close in. I'm hopping on that Hendrick bandwagon, even though I'm a Ford guy. I don't care too much about manufacturers. But anyway, I have Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski each only getting 1 win for the regular season. Again, regular season. But I have them only getting 1 win there, so not a lot of playoff points. That could hurt going into the postseason. I have Alex Bowman winning 1 race for the regular season at least, but he runs really, really well, and he finishes in the top half of the 16-driver field by the time the playoffs start, which is a step up from last year, because remember, last year he was around 11th to 12th to 13th in points for a lot of the regular season when they came back from COVID, at least a couple weeks after they came back from COVID. So I have Bowman only getting 1 win, but running way more consistently in the regular season than what he did last year. I have Kyle Larson with that Dirt Bristol win. That's his ticket to the playoffs. I think he'll be probably a top 10 points runner. I think he'll be in that 10th to 12th range in the regular season throughout the course of the year anyway, but that win locks him in. With Chase Briscoe getting his first career win, I have him making the playoffs as well. And Ricky Stenhouse, remember all the way back in the Daytona 500, I don't think he'll be in the top 20 points, but that win will punch his ticket into the playoffs as well. I have to take that into consideration. So, the drivers I have making on points, the absolute locks I have making on points is Kurt Busch and Ryan Blaney. I think they'll also both be in the top 10. I think Blaney will take a step up this year. I think he'll be contending for just about as many wins as he did last season. I do think he'll get more as we get into the playoffs, but I think he'll have that Blaney bad luck as far as probably going to be close to winning races, but not actually going to pull it off again, because that's just been the story of him the last, pretty much since he took over that 12 car. It seems like he's capable of winning 3 to 4 races a year, but he only wins 1. I don't think he'll win any for the regular season. It's going to cause a lot of people to, oh, is he going to win or something? But Blaney has shown he has come on strong outside of last season. That his best statistical parts of the season have been in the playoffs. So I think he'll prove that, but he'll only have no wins going in. Same goes for Kurt Busch. He's been running consistently. He's pretty much been a lock for the playoffs. That won't change. He'll score enough points. I think Kurt Busch will make the playoffs as well. As you see on the list down there, I have Erik Jones making the playoffs. Not Erik Jones. I had the 20 car on there. I have Christopher Bell making the playoffs. Sorry for that. I don't have Erik Jones making the playoffs. But anyway, yes, I have Christopher Bell making the playoffs first year in the 20 car, second year in the Cup Series. It was close, honestly. The last 3 guys I have on points, really, really close. It was tough because there are so many guys that could miss the playoffs, and you're going to go on the guys that will miss here very shortly. But yes, I think that the 20th Bell will be in the playoffs. I also think Bubba Wallace will make the playoffs. I don't think he'll get a win, but I think he'll be flirting with 16th. He'll be on the bubble at Daytona. He's been really good on the super speedways lately. I think he'll point his way in, kind of like Matt DiBenedetto did at the end of last season. I think he'll have a very Matt DiBenedetto 2020 season. I think it'll be reversed, though, where DiBenedetto was slumping his way into the playoffs. I think it'll be the other way around. I think that team's going to struggle out of the gate, and then by about the halfway point of the year, they're going to just start competing for wins, and they're going to be competing for top 10s, but he's not going to get one this year as a whole, but I think he will make the playoffs, and that will be a success, especially for a first year as that team comes out of the gate, especially, with Bubba Wallace as a driver. He needs to perform well this year at some point these first 2 years. I know it's a multi-year deal with 23XI, so he'll be back in that car for 2022 anyway. So step 1, make the playoffs. Even if he doesn't get that win, I think that's what is going to happen. Now the last guy in the playoffs again, on a win, Matt DiBenedetto, but if Austin Cindric races at Road America, then I don't have DiBenedetto winning, and I don't have him making the playoffs. I think he's going to finish outside the top 16 in points this year. The guy I have making the playoffs, the last spot, is a guy that actually ran really well last year. He had the best average finish of all rookies. I almost said Christopher Bell again. Tyler Reddick. I have Tyler Reddick making the playoffs for RCR. It's tough not to leave an RCR team out because they have won at least one race in the last 4 of the 5 years. So it's tough to leave them off the list. And although Austin Dillon was strong, I'm going to go with Reddick because Reddick was close to winning a couple races. I look that could come into play as well. But anyway, I really do think that it's going to be the 8 car of Tyler Reddick getting that final spot in points if Matt DiBenedetto doesn't win. Otherwise, I think he's going to be the first guy out, and Bubba Wallace will be the last guy in if Matt DiBenedetto wins at Road America. So those are the 16 guys for the playoffs. Notable drivers I left off the list include Aric Almirola. It was really tough. I watched Eric Eastep's video, and he's kind of high on him this year as far as, running consistently, and he's hoping he wins a couple races. But honestly, I don't know. I really don't know if Aric Almirola's got another win in him. He struggled at the end of the year. He was around a 16 exit last season, and he didn't really run well after he got eliminated. So if they come out of the gates slow again, I really do think that 14 car is going to be better than him this season. He's going to get that win. I think they're going to have more focus in Harvick, trying to get him another championship and more wins on his way out the door, too. Because, you never know how many years Harvick has left. He can have anywhere between, 2 to, 6 years left, honestly, at the pace he's running at. So, I have Aric Almirola missing the playoffs. I have William Byron missing the playoffs. Interesting, I wanted to throw Byron in there because he is pretty good on the road courses, and I took that into consideration. But because I have Matt Benedetto winning at Road America, I think that's going to hurt Byron's chances. And out of the Chevy camp, I don't know why I'm saying Tyler Reddick. There's always at least 1 or 2 guys that are, surprise playoff spots. You look at Ryan Newman 2 years ago. I don't think anybody thought he was going to make it. I think you look at last season, Austin Dillon, it made it in, and you didn't think he could make it. So you look at those guys, right around 15th, 16th, and I think that's where Tyler Reddick comes into play. So I had to... Somebody shocking is going to have to miss. It's been Jimmy Johnson the last couple years. So I feel like that shocking guy that's going to miss is going to be William Byron, and Byron barely snuck into the playoffs last year. If he didn't win at Daytona, he would have barely pointed his way in. It came down to the wire the last race. And he finished, top 5 at Dover the race before. So, I mean, if he didn't finish top 5 at Dover and wouldn't have won Daytona, I mean, he's not in the playoffs. So, I don't see Byron. He's definitely going to be that fourth Hendrick guy, and I'm not very high on him, honestly. I think Cole Custer's going to miss the playoffs this year. He was probably the lesser of the 3 rookies last season, but he got that win at Kentucky, so maybe he'll compete for a win, out of luck again. Maybe he'll have kind of like that Austin Dillon kind of, start to his career, winning a race, here and there out of, being in the right place at the right time. I'm not going to call it luck, but I don't think he'll get that this year. Ross Chastain, not very high on him for this season at least, and the field's just so tough. We already mentioned Austin Dillon is going to make it, and I don't have DiBenedetto making it unless Austin Cindric is not starting at Road America, as mentioned. Then I have him in and Reddick out. The Roush cars, Ryan Newman, Chris Buescher, they didn't perform well at all last year. I don't think Newman's the same driver after that Daytona 500 wreck, and Chris Buescher actually underwhelmed me last year. I really thought he could get that car at least in the top 20 in points. In last year's prediction, I actually had him making the playoffs because I thought he could win at a super speedway, and he didn't. So he was close, though, in that fall Talladega race. I know that wasn't in the playoffs, but he wanted to stage that race, and he was running up towards the front. But maybe he could sneak a win there this year. Who knows? But outside of that, I don't see Buescher making the playoffs. Now we get into the round of 16. This is where it's going to be really fun. Going to go round by round by round. This might end up being a 30-minute video anyway, but we'll hope for the best. Anyway, we got Alex Bowman winning the Southern 500 at Darlington. He was very good there last year, especially in the first 2 races back from COVID. I think it's going to be a step up. This is the season Alex Bowman wins multiple races. I'm high on Bowman for this season, and I think he wins his second race of the year towards the end of the season in the playoffs. I think Kyle Larson's going to win a race in the playoffs. He's very good. I looked at Dover being one of those races he can win as well, but it's still early in the season when they go there. So I waited until the second Richmond race. I have Larson winning at Richmond. He wins his way into the round of 12. That's a racetrack he won at before. He's qualified on the pole there before. He knows how to get around Richmond. So I've got Kyle Larson winning there. The Bristol night race, I've got another driver winning his first career race. I have Christopher Bell winning his first career race there. He's really, really good there in the Xfinity Series in the past. I think he's going to be looking for revenge after a runner-up finish at Dirt Bristol to Larson. It might come down to those two again in that race with Larson winning at Richmond. But I have Bell pulling it off here. I looked at Kyle Busch possibly at winning the 4th race there, but I have Busch making a deep run in the playoffs, but I don't have him winning any more races this season. Now we get into the round of 12. Before we do that, here are the 4 drivers I have eliminated. I got Stenhouse being eliminated, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and Kurt Busch being eliminated in the round of 16. I think Busch, like I said, I think he takes a little bit of a step back. I also think this is the final year of his career, and he'll go into the broadcast booth for the truck races starting in 2022. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. For the round of 12 now, I have Ryan Blaney winning his first race of the year at Vegas. I think he was going to win at Vegas last year, at least in the first race at Vegas last season, if it wasn't for a caution coming out with 2 to go, and then Todd Gordon bringing him down the pit road. I swear, if it comes down to a late race caution, and I see anybody, because it happened to Blaney and Todd Gordon last year, and it happened to Alan Gustafson and Chase Elliott in the Coke 600 last year, do not pit with the 550 package with 2 laps to go, because track position matters so much with those races now. And there's 2 laps, and all you need is a good restart. You're guaranteed probably a top 3 finish at worst case scenario. And if you're in the lead, you get to pick the lane you want on the... Well, you get to pick the lane anyway on the restart now because of the choose cone. So, yeah, don't pit this time. I have Blaney winning at Vegas this year, and I actually think Blaney wins 2 races this year as well. I see him winning at Talladega the next week, going back-to-back, setting himself... Again, I said he was going to get hot late in the season, and that is where he's going to get his step up, winning 2 races this year, just like I have Alex Bowman winning 2 races this season. Charlotte Roval, I got Chase Elliott winning his 5th race of the year. I think most of Elliott's wins will come on road courses, but I only see him winning 3, maybe 4 of them. But I have Chase Elliott winning at the Charlotte Roval, his 5th win of the season. Now, the 4 drivers I have eliminated in the round of 12. This is going to be very, very controversial, let's say. I have a couple of early exits. I have Christopher Bell getting eliminated, Chase Briscoe getting eliminated in the round of 12. Great rookie season for Briscoe. I have him making it to the round of 12 anyway. I thought about maybe pointing his way in because he is really good road course racer, but I feel like he's going to have bad luck at Talladega. And honestly, if that's that should be enough to eliminate him because he only had one win in the regular season. So I'll go with Briscoe getting eliminated as well. Here's the two controversial ones. I think Logano gets eliminated because of his down season. And I think it's going to be kind of like Kyle Busch, where he's just going to have a random down year. You know, just basically out of the blue. Now, it's not coming off a championship, so you can't call it a slump, you know, a championship hangover, so to speak. But I have Logano only winning one race this year. That's going to cost him not having a lot of playoff points, so that's why I have him getting eliminated. And I have Martin Truex Jr. being that even more of a shock elimination. I see him winning 3 to 4 races this year, but again, you look at the playoffs, and there's always somebody shocking, at least in every round. Like Blaney last year in the round of 16 was a shock. Kyle Busch in the round of 12 was a shock. Both those drivers didn't have a lot of playoff points going in. Obviously, Blaney had that penalty before the Southern 500. It happens every year. You get those shock eliminations, at least one each round. So I think Truex and then Logano, I guess with him being a former champ, is going to be that case. So now into the round of 8. Here are the 4 guys eliminated and the 4 guys that are in the championship 4. I think Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott are locks for the championship 4. And I actually have Harvick winning at Texas. That's his 5th win of the year, so that earns him a shot. I think Denny Hamlin wins his 6th race of the year at Kansas. He was very close there to winning in the last couple seasons. Didn't perform as well there. Actually did win there a couple years ago with this package. So there you go. I have Denny Hamlin winning at Kansas. And then at Martinsville, I see Martin Truex Jr. getting the sweep there and winning as a non-playoff driver, which forces Chase Elliott to point his way in. He had a lot of playoff points going into the postseason, had another 5 after winning the Roval. So I have Chase Elliott making it to the championship 4. And Ryan Blaney, those 2 wins he had the round prior are enough playoff points to barely skim him by. I was so close. There was 3 drivers. I'm not sold on Keselowski because he has the lack of playoff points here as well. I only think he's only going to win 1 race. This is going to be that first year he's not going to win 3 races in a row in quite some time. He's in a contract year. I really don't know the situation with Penske and with Keselowski, if they're going to keep him or not. I don't know. But I have Brad Keselowski being eliminated pretty easily here. But I was really, really close on Alex Bowman and Bowman, Blaney, Kyle Busch. I have Larson being eliminated this round too. I think his miracle season comes to an end. Miracle season because it's his first year with Hendrick. But Bowman, I really thought about it. He was very good in these 3 races last year. I think he'll be very good again. But, man, it's close because him and Blaney are going to have the same amount of playoff points going in. So it's going to be really close. And Kyle Busch is going to have a lot of playoff points too. And he did win at Texas last year. It's really close. I think my heart got the best of me, honestly. With taking Blaney, me being a Blaney fan, that's probably what it was, honestly. Otherwise, I probably would have taken Kyle Busch over those 2. So I think Bowman will have an up season, but I don't think he's going to make it to the championship 4. Actually, I don't see any of these 4 drivers in the playoffs having multiple drivers with the same team in the playoffs. I think it'll be 4 different teams. So, again, my championship 4 is going to be Harvick, Elliott, Hamlin, and Blaney. And my champion is Chase Elliott. No surprise. I think Chase Elliott's a favorite. Again, a lot of road courses on the schedule. He's going to get a lot of playoff points. He's going to win the regular season championship, which is going to help him get to that point as well. And he's going to be running consistently in the playoffs again like he did last year. So he's going to have a little bit of momentum. And I had him winning at Phoenix earlier in the season, so it'll not only be the Phoenix sweep, but it'll be 3 wins in a row at Phoenix for Chase Elliott. He'll win the championship. I think Kevin Harvick will finish 2nd in the championship running. I think that Denny Hamlin will be finishing 4th again in the championship running, and I have Blaney finishing 3rd. So that's my predictions, full predictions. Again, you guys will see it in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Hopefully I can figure out a way to do that with my editing skills. So without further ado, that is going to end it. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We will be doing predictions videos every week. Don't forget to hop into the Fantasy Live League. I will start that up as soon as possible. I will keep that updated in videos and streams to come as well, so you guys don't forget. And I'll eventually have a link in the description below for that also. So comment down below your predictions on the championship. Who do you think will be a driver that will have a down year compared to last year? Who will be a driver to look forward to as having an up year for this year? I want to hear from you guys in the comments section below. Thanks everybody for watching this video and enjoying. I will see you guys next time.